Here we go.
And we're talking about cons and con gossip up next on Geek Out SA. And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. And we're back. We're back. It's been, what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
6 months. I don't know. Something like that.
Who knows what it is now?
I can't remember. I haven't slept in a really long time, so all the days kind of like meld together.
I let in perfectly, didn't I?
Did you?
Did I?
I don't
Did
know.
it
I'm
seem like that,
still
Stuart?
asleep, so I don't know.
we're all late today because we had an event for Colleen's
That was my
GT.
fault. Yeah.
No, but we're out there helping raise money out there for the GT program at Northside.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, but now we're here.
Yay.
And we're going to be talking about con gossip because apparently stuff happened over last weekend.
So I'm just going to sit here and let you throw out names. And so, like, shots fired are all going to come from you.
Just me? Okay.
Shots fired from Vince.
Okay. So, but before we come to that.
Okay. But later.
But right now. So, we just came off of doing Game Expo last weekend.
We did?
It was a lot of fun, great success. Had a lot of things happening out there. No real fire drills that we had to go through at all.
There was an actual fire drill. There was a real fire drill.
Real fire drill that was there. So. But it was just a test, and nobody actually left the hotel.
So what Vince means by that is normally, so Vincent and I get a hotel room at the hotel where the con's going to be, and then we have walkie-talkies. And usually we're trying to run games or entertain the guests or make sure that attendees are in games and make sure that everything's running smoothly. And while we're doing that, a lot of the times it used to be, then we'd get calls. Yeah. Well, how do you do this? Well, we forgot how to do this. Well, where's this thing? Well, what happened to this thing? And so this is our 4th year doing this. Like with us being the head people, we used to do ChimeraCon before with April Bremner and Al Griego and Mike Walton and Gilder and Stuart, who's our producer. And we all did that for a long time kind of together as a group thing. And then people came in and out, people's kids came in and out and helped and were on the board and did various jobs. So there was kind of a lot of us. Well, then...
Oh, also, we have Chef Johnny from Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine. He says, good evening.
Hey!
How's it going? And we also have Aaron from Get Your Geek On. That's also there as well.
Hey! So then for various reasons, we we changed things up. People left. We decided to rebrand because ChimeraCon didn't seem to really scream gaming convention. So we went with Game Expo. And then it was Colleen and Vince and Al.
Yeah.
And then Stephanie started to help. And then Stacy started to help. And so we went from kind of this bigger group to this smaller group. So it's been more jobs. And maybe you should explain some of the jobs that people have when putting on a convention. So maybe people should understand what actually all goes into putting on a convention.
Well, putting it all in, the first thing you need a venue. So you need to meet with the people at the venue. I like to do that in person. I don't really like doing stuff through email because I like to do the face-to-face thing because it makes things more personal.
Well, things get lost in translation if you do it through email, big time. And the other thing is, if you go and meet with the people at the venue and you kind of get to know them and you talk to them, because they don't really understand, most people don't understand tabletop gaming, right? So they don't understand what your event is. So if you go and talk to them and get to know them, sometimes they're more apt to maybe throw some things in for you because it's not cheap. Let us be very clear about that.
That's not cheap at all.
It's not cheap to put on an event. Even a very small event like ours runs about $12,000.
Yeah.
So and that's with us getting to know the hotel staff, getting the hotel staff to help us out, doing the food menu with the hotel so that hopefully they can make back some of the money because they're a business and they're trying to make money.
And having to make sure you have your room block.
Yeah.
Filled up. And
getting people to come out and get rooms. So they have all these stipulations that you have to go through and contracts that you have to sign ahead of time. So first there's that.
Oh, and we also have McKenna Ritz says, hello, everyone.
Hi,
we had
McKenna.
a great time, and she was actually a vendor, Thistle and Thunder, at Game Expo. So that was a lot
she
of
had
fun.
some really great dice
really
trays and leather bags to hold your dice in and all kinds of awesome stuff. So now Vince has got the venue, right? So that's one of his jobs. That's what he does. So then now we know the price of the venue, and every year it goes up and it's a little bit more. And sometimes we go to a venue, and we were doing it at one venue, and then they tried to gouge our eyeballs out and quadruple the price that they were charging us. So we had to find another venue.
Yeah, quadruple.
They quadrupled the price.
And I was like, the first thing I heard, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like maybe like an extra half. But no, we're gonna quadruple it.
Quadruple it. Yeah.
No, I can't afford that.
So then you find out how much it's going to cost. You know how much money you made the year before, if you've made any, because a lot of times cons don't make any money, or they just break even barely.
They make enough to. A lot of them make enough to put it on.
Just to put it on the next year, or to put on part of it.
Some of them that are big do make some money.
A few of them, but not a lot of them.
No.
Not a lot of them, and especially not the small ones. So then you have to go try to get sponsors to sponsor you. So something that'll benefit their business or something. So that's another job that belongs to Vincent, and I help with that job. And then you have to get vendors, and vendors help you kind of pay for some of the space, but not the whole space. And then you have to get people to come and want to go to your event, and that pays for the space. So it's all of this like juggling and stuff like that. But our con is unique in that because it's a tabletop gaming convention, we also then need people in charge of making sure that games are getting played. So we have to reach out to people in the gaming community here in San Antonio, and we have to reach out to stores and ask them if they'll come out.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get into kind of a conundrum here in San Antonio.
And also, Doug is watching right now. He says there's no sound, but I just checked the sound. We're good on the sound. I don't know. He's watching from his phone, so...
Unmute your phone, sweetie.
Yeah. Put up the volume on it. It'll work. It'll work, I promise you. But he was here, and he wasn't able to make it this year just because it was a lot more expensive this year than it ever has been in previous years.
Yeah, to travel and everything.
Yeah, so that's another thing when you're bringing in guests. That's another thing you need to think about.
Like how much?
It's a lot of money.
How much can you pay for their airfare and for their hotel rooms and for their food? Because you usually want to at least give them a meal, if not more, when they're your guest.
Yeah.
You know, so then that becomes an expense. But I think one of the unique things about San Antonio as a place to get an event is San Antonio in general is kind of like a fractured city. So if you've never been to San Antonio, we kind of have little pockets in San Antonio. And in your little pocket, everything's available to you. So you have, because the city's huge. It would take you like an hour to drive across the city. This is Texas. Things are big in Texas. It takes about an hour to drive across the city from one end to the next. So in our little pockets, we have our movie theaters, we have our restaurants to go eat at, we have our gaming stores, you know, we have everything in our pocket.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't leave their pockets because it's too much driving. So it creates this kind of interesting dynamic here in San Antonio, I think.
Yeah. Well, in this area alone, there's like 3 different McDonald's. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's so many. Like, you just like go to a corner and, oh, there's a McDonald's.
Yeah, and you go
There's
to
a
your little
Subway.
place. And it's even funny where some of the roads in San Antonio are really long. And so if you live on this end of the road and your friends live on this end of the road, there's so much in between that they kind of have their like HEB, that's our grocery store, McDonald's and stuff that they go to, Walmart, and the people at this end have theirs that they go to, and you don't even like meet at the same ones because it's so far apart. So it's a weird thing, and then we have like a weird pride about our side of town. So, like, there's the West Siders. It's all West Side. And then, I don't know how to do it. I didn't do it right. And then
like
there's
West, East,
South,
North,
East,
South,
North.
and Southwest. And there's all
Nobody does
pockets
Southwest. Nobody does that.
That's where I was born.
You're South Side.
That's where I was raised.
You're totes South Side.
But we also have Fulgur watching us, and
Hey,
he says,
Fulgur.
sounds good to me. So we're good on sound.
Okay.
And Fulgur was actually at the convention as an attendee.
Yay, thank you.
He was telling me he had a lot of fun, so
yeah,
that's really cool. And also, Aaron says you sound fine on my phone. So, Doug, turn up the
that's okay. So, back to what it takes.
So, you get because we were talking about sponsorship.
Okay, so sponsors, vendors.
We're talking about vendors. So we also need to go through and we're like getting vendors. This year we didn't realize that Hill Country Comic Con was happening till like 2 or 3 weeks before.
Yeah, because we usually plan ours a year in advance because there's really only about 4 of us who work on the con. It's Vincent, Colleen, and Stephanie Newman and Stacy Krause. That's pretty much it. Sometimes Al helps us every once in a while, but he's kind of stepped down because it's a lot of work and it's no pay. Everybody who does it for the love of gaming. And Stuart, our producer, he helps us out with stuff too. Bless his heart. He does. But Stuart has his own thing going on and a little kiddo that we don't have, so he doesn't spend as much time with it either as we do. And again, there's no pay. So so we when we put our show together, it's like a year in advance. So yeah, we didn't know about Hill Country Comic Con.
We didn't realize they were putting on the South by Southwest Gaming.
The South by Southwest Gaming hadn't been announced yet when we decided. Then we just happened to have deaths in the family and medical stuff going on and surgeries and recuperations, and it ate up a lot of our time. And then I have an older parent who needs my help, and one of our others has an older parent, and somebody else in our group was changing jobs. So we all have our daily job life stuff that we're trying to deal with, as well as put on this show. So I think that that's one thing that people should consider when they have something to say about somebody's show that they're putting on. Yeah. And not that I think
there's just a lot of work that goes into it.
And not that I think that all the shows are really well done per se. Maybe they're just not my cup of tea. But if you're really putting everything into the show, which Vincent and I do, people should just think about that before they go. Because I think we've gotten into this world where everybody can get on their keyboard and they can just attack people for stuff. Yeah. And it's real easy to be behind a screen and attack people for stuff. Not that anybody's attacked our show. That hasn't been the case. Yeah. Or not that I've seen. Maybe they have and I didn't see it, which is probably better because I'd probably cry at this point because I'm still tired. But I think one of the things that Vincent and I do well is our show is about gaming. So, like these Comic-Cons that have moved away from comics, it kind of bothers me. Whereas for us, our show is about gaming. So it is gaming centered. Like if you come, it's tabletop gaming, it's video gaming, it's learning about gaming. That's our show. That's our focus. Yeah.
I mean, we're not bringing in. I mean, we have guests. Like we had Chris Leader come in as guest. We had the boardroom come in as guest. We had Desi come in as guest. But they're not celebrity guests that are coming here. No. And
no, it's not like people are going to stand in line because people outside of the gaming industry wouldn't even know where they were.
Some people within the gaming industry may, that's pretty cool. Like, we had Chris Leader. We also had Jeff D one year. Yeah. and people were really excited about that. But it's a lot of work, and we have great volunteers, and
We
we
do.
had a lot of new volunteers that I've never seen before.
Yeah, that was nice.
And they were really nice. They were really attentive, and they made all of the attendees feel at home and feel welcome. That's one thing about our show that that I really like. That people over the years have said, I feel like I could bring my kid here and not worry about stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it feels more like family. Like everybody kind of gets to know each other and they feel like this family atmosphere. And so that's the nice thing about a small show like ours, because ours is not that big. It's like this year was like 300 people, and that was it. So when you get to something that's like thousands,
right now.
What?
S. Guzman, I don't know if that's any relation.
That's somebody that is related to you, I'm sure.
I don't think it is because it's some. Because
I know exactly who it is. Ask. Is it you? Is it you? I know who it is.
Who is it?
It's one of my kiddos.
Well, it's somebody that went.
Yeah, it's Bass.
I went.
Bass.
So it's not.
Her name. Anyway, we call her Bass.
I'm not related to her.
No, you're not related.
Okay.
She's not related to us.
I was at the con only for a few hours on Saturday, but I had an amazing time, and your new app game became one of my favorite to play with my friends.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you, but that's actually an old game, though.
It is.
It's an old game.
I just don't tell the kids. So she's one of my students. She's one of my amazing students, and I'm going to cry my eyes out when she leaves because she's an 8th grader. She's one of my people.
Yeah, at me.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. It was nice. I don't tell the kids that I make games because it's like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't. I'm too busy trying to teach them other stuff, and a lot of them don't understand. She does, and some of our little crew, like if she and some of her friends were like our age, they would be my people. But but they're children, so it's not a thing.
So there's a lot of that goes into it, and then once you're there, then you have to make sure you have all these events.
Right.
And maybe a gaming convention has a little more events than another.
Like PAX or something like that, it's all like event driven, right? It has to be event driven. Where if you're looking at something that's a quote unquote Comic-Con, it's really stand in this line to meet this celebrity, and maybe they have a few panels, and then stand in this line to get your picture taken with this celebrity, you know, and maybe you can go to a couple of booths and see artists doing some live drawing if you're lucky. But there's not really events per se. Which is something that I complain about all the time. Like, I wish that Comic-Cons had events. Like, have a history of comics, like, panel that people can go to. Have a drawing class with some of these artists that people could maybe go to.
And that's one thing that I haven't really seen so much at all.
No, and if you're talking comics, like, if it's really supposed to be a Comic-Con, then why is it not focused on comics? And storytelling.
Another big thing, like when you look at anime conventions, they do have a lot of events that are going on.
That is something, though, that's very specific to the anime culture. The anime kids really want to have this social time, this time to do things, to immerse themselves in like the Japanese culture and feel like they're really there. Like, that's the whole point of it, is like, no, you disagree, Stuart? They just want to hang out.
Hang out and show off their.
Well, costume. They think that they want to immerse themselves in the Japanese. Yeah, well, they think.
Most of them. I know, because I sold Japanese games for many years at anime cons, and people would come up and say, "Why are they in Japanese?"
Isn't that supposed to be what?
Are we at a Japanese animation convention?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not.
Well, okay, so old school, I guess people like that I know that are my age wanted to be immersed in that Japanese culture. So that was part of the anime thing. I guess now the internet's opened things up, so it's more of a social thing, and it's more of like cheaper. Dressing up.
Like, if you were big into anime back when we were younger, it was expensive to get the videos. It
Yeah.
was super expensive, and those were VHS.
Yeah.
When did anime hit big over here? Mid 2000s?
When it went big, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. And some of that was even like Cartoon Network, and some of that was like Dragon Ball and Naruto, and
basically where Adult Swim used to be.
Yeah. Do some of that. So I do, but I do think the anime cons also have to have more event driven stuff. They do a lot of like cosplay type things. They do the maid cafe. They have dancers. They have the voice actors come and do stuff. So they do have more events. What I think is interesting is there are these sites that you can go to where basically like vendors can complain about your event.
And that's where we're coming.
And talk smack about you.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair, but not fair. Because there are some vendors, and I've seen them because I've been doing cons for a very, very long time, either as Geek Out SA or as Game Expo or as Chimera Con or whatever. I mean, Dave Hinken of San Japan used to be part of Chimera Con. He would bring his drums and his guitar and stuff, and Guitar Hero and what that other rock band thing, and he was our video game section at Chimera Con before San Japan was big. So we've been doing this a long time, okay? And
even before San Japan was actually a thing.
Yeah, totally. And so I've seen vendors at big shows, at small shows, not vend. You can't just sit there at your table and think that people are going to come up to you and buy your stuff.
No.
Sorry, I don't care how big or small the show is. Yeah, sometimes the show is small and maybe you don't have the right stuff, okay? Or maybe the show is small and the people aren't spending money. Or whatever the case may be, okay? I get it. Sometimes that happens. And you kind of roll the dice when you're a vendor. You know, you try it out and see if you can vend and see if you do well. But
the people that do well are the ones that go after that sale.
Yeah. But I think to bash the event and say, because the people are out there promoting. I see everybody out there promoting, and they're doing the best that they can with the budget that they have, with the money that they've got, and they're trying to put out flyers and Facebook ads and trying to get on media and social media and everything else. So to go out and blame a convention for poor sales, I think is bad form. I mean, or to complain that it's cold at the spot that you're at. Get a coat, and we don't control the air conditioner. Okay, we can ask the place to change it, but we have no control over it. If it's hot, if it's cold, we have no control. We can definitely go ask them, but we don't own the building. So to complain about things like that, and I've seen that as some of the complaints. Like, really, you're going to complain if you were too cold? Wear a coat. Like, seriously? Don't complain about things that are outside of the promoter's control.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at a larger convention and you're cold. It's cold for a reason, because
there's supposed to be a ton of bodies packed in there. Yeah.
People don't understand that.
But so there were some other complaints, though.
Yeah.
Were you going to bring those up?
So
because that's all you. Shots fired, Vince.
Yeah. So apparently at Hill Country Comic Con, Celebrity Fan Fest came in and supposedly was trying to poach vendors without talking to the organizers in the first place.
So I'm going to say something that's probably not going to be popular, but I'm going to say it anyway. They're vendors. They're paying you money for your space. If they're poachable and they're willing to leave, not my problem. Of course I'm going to go to other shows and meet vendors and stuff so that I can get vendors for my show. Why wouldn't I? That seems like good business to me.
But should you undercut them? I mean, I know when we talk to other vendors,
I would never undercut them because some
like,
of them told us, "Hey, we're going to Hill Country Comic Con." We had 3 vendors that want to be first on the list for next year, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to Hill Country Comic Con. Like, put us first on your list for next year, and we'll sign up with you for next year." So, and then we were like, "That's cool."
But we didn't do that at Hill Country Comic Con.
No, we didn't do it at Hill Country Comic Con because our con was that weekend. But we went to one of Lori's shows at the Wonderland Mall of Americas, and that's one of the nice things about going to that show is you can go and talk to vendors and meet them and see if they have the kind of product that your people would like to purchase. So I don't have a problem with them going and meeting the vendors and talking to the vendors. Now herein lies the rub. The Celebrity Fan Fest is the same weekend as Austin Greater Comic Con, which is run by the same people that run Hill Country Comic Con.
Right.
So what was happening was that Celebrity Fan Fest was going into Hill Country Comic Con and saying, "Hey, I see you've got a booth, or I hear you've got a booth at Greater Austin, but we're right here in San Antonio, and you can get like a lower price or whatever. Why don't you come to us and bail on them?" But normally, if you have a vendor, like there's a contract and they pay.
I would never do that. I would not tell them, "Oh, bail on Hill Country Comic Con."
Yeah, and we weren't there, so we don't know. So this is all secondhand. This is all cheese man. We don't know.
It's all gossip.
But usually, if you get a vendor in, they pay you. You're not refunding them the money. You paid for your spot. Your spot will be there. You want it, you come. You don't, I'm keeping your money.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way that goes. So why would they think that they could undercut them? That's what I don't understand about this. Why do you think you can undercut them and take the vendors away? The vendors have already paid. That's usually how it works.
Unless they cancel.
No,
or some pay at the event.
You can cancel sometimes. There is clauses in contracts that say you've got up until X amount of
days before
to cancel, and if you cancel after that time, you forfeit X amount of money, or you forfeit it all.
Yeah.
But most people will work with you, especially if you've done many of their events. They understand family emergencies and stuff like that. But
yeah. Not me, baby. I'm keeping your money. Give me cash, it's mine. Give me a check, it's mine. You PayPal me, it's mine.
No, I mean we've worked with people for that, but some that cancel the day of. I mean, we can't make up that space or money,
right?
So we gotta.
Right, like if you're 30 days out, 60 days out, we can probably fill in your spot. But yeah, day of, sorry.
Day of or even week of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. So, because you
especially
counted on that money in your budget to, pay for printing of things and badges and lanyards.
And that's another thing. All the printing that goes involved. Like for a gaming convention, we need to have a program book that has all our events in there.
So that people can see the schedule of what's going on,
Because not everybody is, well versed in technology. More so now, but
I think that I just wonder if vendors are starting to get burned. Now, I heard that Hill Country Comic Con was a good show for most vendors and that 3,000 people showed up. So that's really good. And they didn't have any they had guests, but they weren't anybody that I would consider like an actual guest. They were voice actors, like who cares? But, sorry, I said that out loud. Okay. We'll edit that or cut it out, Stuart. Put a bleep, something.
Well, Jim Cummings was really good.
He was funny in that panel.
He was funny in that panel.
But I don't know him personally, so he sounds like Winnie the Pooh. That's great. I like Winnie the Pooh.
Voice actors are a little bit different because you don't see their face.
Yeah.
So you don't.
Well, I don't care about actors either. So I mean, that's just me personally.
Just actors.
I just don't care. I mean, I'm just weird that way. I've met a few of them, but I'm kind of over most of them. Like, I know some people who are still like, woo, I got to interview them and stuff. And I'm like, whatever.
Hey, I interviewed Stanley.
That was nice. He was the nicest little old man. He was.
He was a nice man.
But this...
Spill it.
All right, shots fired. Here we go. So this is what I don't understand about Alamo City Comic Con. Alamo City Comic Con to me has become a flea market with a bunch of celebrities in it, okay? And there's like all these vendors, but they're like the same vendors and they have all the same stuff. And there's like, you know, all these pop things and here's some sabers that you can buy. And I don't know, it's just a lot of junk that I could get on Amazon. And then I just like walk through all of them and then I go and pay an exorbitant amount of money to talk to some celebrity. I mean, I think they're hot or something, or I think maybe like their movie meant something to me, but they're just a person. And a lot of times they end up being jerks. So like then I'm all like put off and then they're not even what I thought they were going to be. And I don't need, and then I'm like sad and then I can never watch their movie again. And it was like my favorite. So I just can't anymore.
Wow.
I can't. That's the truth. That's my truth. I'm sorry. I said it all out loud. So I just don't get
And
get
that's
it.
another thing is like when you have a convention, then you have a bunch of people that have the same stuff. And that's one thing that we try to stay away from.
Well, we can't afford it because we have too few attendees.
And but we approve what comes in. It's just not an open thing that anybody can have a space.
Right.
Because it makes it harder for an artist that does the same type of stuff to be able to sell their stuff to people.
But the thing is we still can't control that day of when people bring in stuff that they didn't tell us they were going to bring in. So there's no way for us to control it.
Which has happened before. Which
has totally happened before. We had a really great time this year because we had Thistle and Thunder who was doing leather work. We had Nick's Bug Bobbles that were doing the bug art. We had Oddbirds that had like, you know, hair things, which I'm totes going to wear next week, and skirts and stuff. And then we had one artist that did like perler beads and one artist that did like a sushi cat. And then we had Heroes and Fantasies selling cards, and we had Tabletop Generals selling like miniatures and stuff. And then we had Stuart. He was there because he also has like his own Octane Toys thing because Stuart has like no sleep. And he was there and he had brought like some anime stuff and plushies and stuff because we had a costume contest. So in case that kind of niche of people came and wanted to buy something, so he was there for that. So we had different things.
Yeah.
For different people to go and see. So, and then that way we were hoping that because our show is small, nobody's stepping on each other's toes. Mm-hmm. And we are very upfront with that at the beginning. Like when we went and talked to Heroes and Fantasies about getting a space, we told them that Tabletop Generals was going to be there. And this is what Tabletop Generals was going to sell. And this was the group of gamers that was going to be there. And so then we told Heroes and Fantasies, hey, this is like an area that's not being sold to, could you bring this type of stuff and sell to them? And then they also offered to do demos of like Magic and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Really? That's how much time we have left?
So the other thing...
We're passionate about what...
Well, the other thing that I want to say that I think that Vincent and I do really well, and Stephanie and Stacy, that we do really well is... that, and I just lost my train of thought. We do all kinds of stuff really well. What was I going to say? I don't know.
Take care of our attendees.
Vince. To you.
We take care of our attendees. We make sure they're having fun. We if they're looking around for, they look like, because you see a lot of people and they're looking like they don't know what they want to do or what to do. And you go and you give them suggestions of, oh, here, you can go check this out. Which, that's not really something you see at a Comic-Con because there's so many people.
Right. Like, so how do you do that with 3,000 people or 30,000 people or something? You know, you can't have that same kind of connection.
You can't have that same personal connection, but there's still a way you can announce stuff. There's still ways to announce it.
Yeah, I feel like there are better ways that these comic convention especially could be done. Now, I've never been to Celebrity Fan Fest, just by looking at their website and stuff, to me, it literally just seems like I'm paying money to go pay more money to go talk to some stupid actor. Like, that seems like the extent of it. So I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, when we were growing up, that used to be something you could do at the mall. You know, celebrities would show up and you'd go to the mall.
You do realize that anime conventions are the mall now.
Right. For the younger generation. Right, because nobody goes to the mall anymore. That's not a thing. And everybody shops on Amazon.
They got to pay.
So I don't know. there's beginning to be like all this infighting in San Antonio of these con organizers fighting against each other, and people are starting to call each other out and say, I'm going to be the king of cons.
But then you have conventions expecting loyalty, which I will not have any loyalty to any convention here in San Antonio. I'm going to go to all of them if I want to go to them.
Right, but they do. A lot of them expect loyalty, and if you go to another one that's their enemy con, then you're blacklisted.
Yeah.
If you're like a vendor or like media, like Vincent and I are.
You want to blacklist me? Do it.
Bye, Felicia.
Oh, please, blacklist me. I don't want to bring any equipment to any.
Stuart's like, I'm so done.
I'm done.
Done. So done.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't have any problems with it, but I mean, they're not doing me favors.
They think they are.
They think they are.
They feel like they're doing you this great favor to let you into their con for free.
I was like, no, I'm actually doing something for you.
Yeah, I'm creating an advertisement for you.
I was like, because I'm proud of this city and I want to show what's happening in our community, and your event is something that's happening in our community, and you should embrace that. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't have 50 million subscribers yet. I don't care.
And be an idiot, so a bunch of like 11-year-old boys will subscribe to me. No, it's not going to happen. I will say that, you know, we've known Dave for a long time, Dave Hinken of San Japan. I have not had any problems with him like being that way to us. I think sometimes he has unrealistic expectations of how many people it takes to run something, like when we've tried to run gaming events for him before, and he's not quite sure about that, but he's not a gamer. Yeah. So usually if we talk to him,
we've had that same issue with Alamo City Comic Con.
Yeah. Not knowing. But at Alamo City Comic Con, it was not knowing and then also telling us false information about like how long things were going to be open and when we were going to be able to game and when we had to leave and things like that. So that's one of the biggest problems that I had with that is the lack of organization. Now that I can put on the con organizers is lack of organization because you are the con organizer. So you should be organized, which is something that I heard that Hill Country did really well, is they were really well organized and they had water for the vendors and they had volunteers that came and helped them if they needed to go like to the restroom or get food or whatever. So yeah, as a con organizer, I can like fault you if your stuff is not organized or if you promise me something and it's a lie. If it's a straight out lie, I can fault you for that. Yeah, I can. But other than that, I can't fault you if it's too cold. Yeah. I mean, our con was too cold this year, according to people. And I just told them, get a jacket.
It was pretty cold.
Get a jacket, baby. But then years before, it's been too hot. And then people have complained it's too hot, too. So it's too hot. It's too cold.
You can always put more clothes on.
Look, Goldilocks, get it together.
There comes a point where you can't take that many clothes off. So.
Please don't. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. We didn't have like stinky problems.
No, we didn't.
You know, gamers kind of
gamer funk.
You have the gamer funk. It's a thing. We didn't have the gamer funk. You know, it was pretty good. So.
And we had a lot of new gamers that came or new to gaming or wanted to find out about it. So
yeah. So it was nice. It was exhausting. If you wonder why Vincent and I look like this, it's because it takes a while for us to put this together. And
but we had a lot of fun. Time's running out. But yeah, we talked about all that happened at Game Expo. Had a lot of fun there. And I'm glad that a lot of people are telling us they had a great time there. And
it's nice to hear.
It's from the vendors. It's from the attendees. It's from the volunteers. Yeah. I mean, even the volunteers have great time there. We have a family that comes out every year to help us out with it. They're not even here from San Antonio.
Nope.
So I really appreciate that, and we really appreciate you watching our show. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart.
Geek out, SA.